There's some great times you have with employees as you go through the organization. Hiring is probably one spectacular day. Everybody sits down, they rejoice in the fact that you found this new employee. They're going to be awesome in the process, or somebody got promoted from within, which I think is even a greater achievement as you go through. But how do you go about developing the people to get promoted from within? How do you sit down and go through and start training somebody in the job they're coming in? Too often, I don't know about you, many jobs that I've taken over the years, I've been plopped into a job and I'm sitting here by myself looking at four walls, trying to figure out which way to find the restrooms in the process. Nobody helps you, little orientation as you go through. Frankly, I'd like to see organizations go through and grab that aspect of a solid orientation and then train the employees, but also develop them as you go through, which are a little bit different. So let's talk about the idea of employee development, training, and careers, which are long-term, sometimes a lifetime in the same organization as you go through. Training and development, they're actually different terminologies. Training, you're helping somebody in the current job. You're trying to get them to be spectacular right there and sit down there and be superb as you go through, showing them all the basic ropes, showing them all the details in their job description. You would be surprised how often you sit down and you have 23 different duties in your job description. They show you the top 5. They never show you the rest. And all of a sudden, 2 years later, you're sitting there saying, what do they do? I'm supposed to do that? I didn't know that. Yes, help them out, help them explore things, help them go through and develop for other positions or changes in the current job. By developing, you're doing more than just training for this moment in time. You're looking outward, looking strategically as to what that employee is going to be in 3 years from now. Is it, even if they stay in that exact same job, will that exact same job be the exact same job in 3 years? You know what? You need to sit down there and pay attention, big picture wise, as to what's going to be happening in the next 3 years. It really is the supervisor's job to do that planning, but HR may have to prod them to go through the process. You want to sit down there and provide an opportunity for that employee to grow within their job. And sometimes you'll sit down there and tap a streak within them. Maybe they're meant for something even bigger than the current job that they're in as you go through. So the focus on training, current use of work experience is low, okay, and the goal is prepare for the current job, and yet to have them really required to be in there. You need to be in this training over here to learn how to have people not hack your computer as you go through. On development, you're looking big picture, future wide, you're looking out to the future, long term, ideally 3 years and out, and you want to sit down and use the work experience to help develop them. This job leads into working at this level too as you go through. You want to really prepare them for changes, and really they should be fired up on their own to pursue that. It's really hard to get somebody to say, oh, I want to go for extra training, become a superstar. They need to sit down and hold their hand up and say, yo, I'm more than happy to do that as you go through. We call a lot of development as you go through a protein career, self-direction, yes, because then you can change as frequently as needed. And the goal is to sit down there and love the job that you're in. By the way, there's an awful lot of people in their 40s, even 50s, that are in the same job that they've hated for the last 20 years because, you know, back when I was 20 years old, Uncle Fred got me this job over here, and I've been in it ever since. Okay, maybe that wasn't the job for you and it was good in the moment, but are you happy in the job? Do you like the work that you're doing? Oh, not so much, but a job is a job. I'd rather sit down there and get the same pay and maybe a different career in a work that I like doing as you go through. Make certain your goal is to find a job that really has a good pattern that fits you as you go through. Find a career pattern that really focuses on your interest, plays to your strengths, and maybe weaknesses too as you go through that can develop you in the process as you go through. So steps in development, go through, and a lot of this is your responsibility as a person as you go through. But whenever you can't step in like an HR person and assist them in developing the career pathway, you need to step in as you go through. Do a self-assessment. There's a lot of good things out there. Sometimes people are not good at doing a certain activity, then they realize it, but they keep it up as they go through, and they have no joy at the end of the day. If you don't like your job 3 days a week, look for a different job. Listen, not everybody likes a job every single day of the week. You know what? Mondays are always tough if you have a good weekend, especially. And Fridays, everybody loves it. So you really got 2 other days in a week. If you can get people to love 3 whole days out of 5, life is good. So Friday's a given. Everybody loves a Friday because the day is going to end into a weekend as you go through. But if you get them to love Tuesday or Wednesday in the process or Thursday, life is really good. So that being said, really do a self-assessment and see, are you enjoying the work that you're doing? Sometimes the work is fabulous, but you have a bad boss. Sometimes you have a great boss, but your work is so mundane, you're really exhausted at the end of the day. Do a reality check. Is this for me? You can do that by the method of joy that you have at the end of the day, sometimes by the paycheck as you go through, sometimes by the aspect of there's something that somebody else is doing that really interests you rather than the thing that's in front of you right now. Have some goal setting as to what you want to have, and then do some action planning. You know what? It's nice to have these conversations inside of our head, but it's so much better to sit down there and write out what you want to do in writing, because there's something magical about that moment when you start committing things down to paper and writing them out what you want to do, because all of a sudden then you feel an obligation to start doing it. Better yet, write it down and share it with a friend as you go through, because all of a sudden now you're being accountable to somebody else. You shared your dreams in the process. Now you may feel an obligation to pursue it, especially if the friend says, yo, what are you doing? How come? I thought you wanted to do this. You're not doing it right now. So really that helps an awful lot. There's a lot of different tests. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of these later on, but the Strong's Interest Inventory, you can get that right here at IVC. You send me an email and I'll line it up for you with one of our superstar counselors as you go through. What that test does, and I mentioned this earlier in our class, you take the test and it'll sit down there, take your personal interest and match it to 4 different major categories of jobs. And then in each job category, it'll list the job titles of 10 different jobs. It'll match your interest with 40 different jobs. I think it's a fabulous test. I took it. It changed my life in the process of my career pathway, or it clarified it better, because everything it said I should do, I ended up doing by the time you're all done. The Myers-Briggs test, yes, it's an older test. It's over 30 years old. Right now it's out there. It's an excellent test. It gives you 16 personality types. I'll mention this later. Strength Quest is also an excellent tool as you go through. Sometimes it's called Strength Finder. Depends which version you're taking as you go through. That really is good. It helps you identify who you are. I have to tell you, the first time I took the Strength Quest test, it was with a group of other executives, and we're all looking at each other, but I was so interested in, this thing really pegged me right down pat. The second time I took the test the next year, I paid attention to the people around me, and I realized why sometimes I did not understand them, where they're coming from. And now all of a sudden, I could actually be a better team player, because not only did I understand myself and my interests, but also what their strengths were and how I could help them be successful. And by the way, how they can help me be successful as you go through. It really is a reality check as you go through. It's a reality check because you're paying attention to people around you. Also, sometimes, by the way, the 360 appraisal that we talked about in the last chapter as you go through, that's a reality check, that all of a sudden everybody's pointing their fingers at everybody else in the process, including you. So you all of a sudden realize some things you may have said or done that were not productive as you go through. That really helps an awful lot. Discover the gaps between your skills, your interests, and how you get along with other people. Goal setting, work for different aspects of your job. Sometimes if you're in a job, you know what, I always like the idea of when you're in a job, become the best version of yourself in the job. If you're not doing as well as you should, go back and tweak as you go through, and so you can sit down and be that best version as you go through. Sometimes when you're working in a job, you don't think about a lateral transfer at the same money, maybe from marketing to accounting, probably the 2 most different departments you could possibly be in, but you may find yourself really in marketing and you really is too wild, too unstructured, and all of a sudden, boom, you're in accounting and you love it as you go through, or vice versa in the process as you go through. Sometimes there's these short-term jobs. The slang term is called a gig job as you go through in the process. Those really can help you too because of the fact you're experiencing over here for short periods of time. Job hopping sometimes helps too, trying to find what you really want to do. If you're at a mid-level and you want to become a higher level person, sometimes it's worthwhile exploring a thing called a career coach or a life coach in the process to help you achieve what you want to achieve as you go through. Here's the big thing. Action plan is a written strategy. It really should be in writing because that gives you the incentive to start crystallizing the things from your head onto paper, something in front of you, and you can sit down there and hang it on a bulletin board in front of you that nobody else can see. And that way you can sit down and identify what you should be doing and what your long-term goal is. Writing helps a big deal. Effective development systems, here's a series of different points. It should be a response to a business need that supports a strategy. You really want to look at the evaluation process, take an active role in your own career management development, and also try to get your boss involved. If you have a boss supporting you, take advantage of it as it's going through. And evaluation is always ongoing. If you really want a pathway, ask the boss how to help you and maybe include some goals in your evaluation that you can achieve together as you go through in the process. So employees a lot of times can have access to development and career information sources, advisors, different positions, look at different opportunities. Sometimes some community work can also assist you as well. Let me give an example. If you're a CPA and you're an auditor, you're bouncing from position to position around the whole area doing these short-term contracts as you go through doing an audit, you may find a place that you're really looking for a chief finance officer job. Jump ship and hop over here. That may help you as you go through and do a little bit of hopping in the process. Senior management, sometimes in the company culture, will support a development system. My role in HR over the years, I have always tried to sit down there and include some type of incentive for employees to better themselves in education or different types of certifications. And there's often, I've included compensation packages or cost payment packages that assist the employee to do that. It's a very common process as you go through. Sometimes you want to sit down and have a large, diverse talent pool. If you're the employer, it's going to really help you as you go through. So employee development, training and careers. Training involves the current work. Development prepares for the future positions. You as an employee, you as a person, do some self-assessment, have some reality checks about what you want to be in the days to come as you go through. And it doesn't matter what you want to be, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, or 60, even as you go through. If you really have unfulfilled dreams and things you want to do, maybe it's time you sat down and started pursuing that. Have goals in writing. If you can, get your supervisor on board with your goals and have them assist you to be successful in your process and really focus in on creating your own personal action plan. Also, supervisors, you need to sit down and look at that concept of creating an action plan for each one of the people that are your direct reports as you go through. Take care.